Hi, can I ask a quick question?
Sure can, Carter. Go ahead.
Thank you. This might be something y'all are gonna get into in the presentation, but I was just wondering, like, my counselor sent out the application, and I was just wondering, like, if it's like something where you go through interviews or you have to get selected, like what that process is.
No, it's essentially first come, first served. We have 80 spaces at the Georgia State FA
Yeah.
FCCLA campground, and so we're looking for people who are interested in developing their leadership skills and growing as an emerging leader. And so the first ones who register, and then there is also a registration fee, which you will, if you check the link, you'll notice that. But you can go ahead and register, and if you or your school or some other group is paying by check, they can send a check later. We can also receive their payment by credit card. So we've got some different options of ways to do. So that's a great question, but no, there's no application or interview process. You get in as one of those 80, you'll be in the retreat.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, Carter, absolutely. And if anybody else here has any questions before we start the formal presentation, feel free to ask. This will be kind of a more informal conversation. So I want you to feel comfortable asking anything that you're just not sure of, or anything related to the campground, the facilities. If you need to know more about my background, you can certainly ask that. My website is, I'll put it into the chat. But if you received the flyer, I think it might be in the flyer, or it would have been in the email that was sent out to the school. You can find out more about me if you'd like. There you go. That's everything.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure, Emily.
What are the you might get into this further into the presentation, but what are the campgrounds like? Like what will we be staying in?
Oh, that's a really good question. I can take that, or Sharon, you're from that area. If you want to talk about it, I don't know how much time you spent down at the campground, but I've been a part of, I don't know, probably 20 retreats down at the campground. So I'm happy to speak to that if you'd like. So Sharon, you want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead and take that since you're more familiar with it. It's been a while since I've been out there.
Yeah.
I know they made some improvements.
They have. The facilities are better than they were some 25 years ago when I first started going. But if you've never been there, you won't notice that. What your accommodations will be is bunkhouses that
Mhm.
have a number of beds, and so you'll be sharing space with a number of people. They are not set up co-ed. I don't exactly know the correct terminology there, but we have to follow the policies of the campground. So in that case, we will be doing them. We'll have two different sets of rooms with chaperones in each room, each bunkhouse. You would need to bring a sleeping bag or linens, a pillow, anything that you need to sleep on, towels. So it's not like going to a hotel. And I say that because one time we did do a retreat there where some of our students had been to another event where we were at a hotel, and they came very unprepared and had to run to Walmart and get supplies for the weekend. But it's not as rustic as sleeping on the ground or in tents. There are nice warm showers. I've been at some places that don't have showers, and the showers are right in the bunkhouse. I've been at campgrounds where you have to go to a separate showering building. It's not like that at all. So it's kind of in between rustic and very upscale, I guess I would say. Does that help, Emily?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great. We still got more people coming in. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes. I got about 2 minutes to 7 right now. Started. Sure. And appreciate that. I am Dave Kelly. I am the lead facilitator for the Georgia Emerging Leaders Program. I am a Kiwanis member. I'm a member of a club here in Georgia. And also with me is Sharon Barksdale. She is the Georgia Kiwanis District Chair for this event. There's a lot of things that Kiwanis does. She's the chair of the committee. So a lot of the logistics, a lot of the things that would have to do with any Kiwanians who are here and your particular possible involvement would be with Sharon. I can answer questions about the content. I'm also helping a lot with the publicity, the marketing of this event as I'm doing this seminar here today. And as if you're a student, your principal or counselor may have gotten the email from me first a couple of weeks ago, then one last week, and yet another one today to remind them about this webinar today. I want to honor your time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I've done that piece as an introduction. What I'd like to ask the participants here to do, would you please go in the chat and tell us your name? And if you're a student, what school you're from, don't give your last name though, please. Maybe just a first name, unless your last name is already in your handle, then that's fine. And if you're not comfortable giving your school, that's fine too. Just or maybe your year in school, if you'd like to, so we get an idea of who's here. If you're a Kiwanis member who's here, I'm going to ask you to give your full name and your club. And if you're an officer in that club, a president or some other, or a lieutenant governor, some other role, go ahead and post that in the chat so we get kind of a sense as to who's here. Walton High School, thanks, Emily. We do appreciate that. Thanks for being here. And who else do we have here in the room? And not everybody can type as fast as other people. So Kristen, high school counselor. Okay, great. Carter, also from Walton. That's wonderful. That's great. You'll be coming through Atlanta, so you're going to appreciate that Saturday morning start time. Anybody else here? We've got a few other people who are in the room. Go ahead. Another Walton High School freshman. That is great. Roger from Georgia Kiwanis, Division III, Lieutenant Governor. That's great. Love to see this. We're calling this emerging leaders, so we're encouraging all students to come and help develop their leadership skills. Navaya, I hope I'm saying that right. Also from Walton, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all of you being here and participating. I am recording this session here tonight so that we can send out the recording to those people who could not come and participate live. And so if you're watching the recording, then you'll get the same sort of information that was presented here in person for everybody who was able to attend during the actual webinar, and invite you to send an email, just to reply back to that email that you received the recording in, and ask any questions that you have. Because we're very excited about this presentation, this program that's coming up in September. I am the lead facilitator, as I've mentioned. We've got a few more people coming in, so I'm going to do another little brief introduction, and just admitted 2 more people. And so I'm Dave Kelly. I am a professional speaker, trainer, author, and coach. I work almost exclusively, actually pretty exclusively, with high school and college students all over the country and in Canada, and recently a college in the Marshall Islands, which was pretty cool. Virtually, didn't get a chance to fly there. And I've been doing that for now almost 20 years, and I love doing it. I am a Kiwanis member here in Georgia. So I do have a background in Kiwanis and some of their other organizations. I started out in Key Club in high school. I was in CKI, Circle K in college, and now I've been a Kiwanian for over 30 years. My main role is the presentation, the content. I'm also helping with the publicity and the marketing of this event and getting information out. Also, another official person with me here, you can see on the screen, is Sharon Barksdale. Sharon, I'll let you introduce a little bit about yourself rather than me doing it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. This is wonderful. I am a Kiwanis member. I am a member of the Conyers Kiwanis Club and the Social Circle Club. And I am a past lieutenant governor from Division 18. And as Dave said, I am the district chair for the Emerging Leaders Program. I have been a member of Kiwanis since 1996. So I've been around a minute. This program is important to me. I think it is a wonderful thing to do, to have it with the high school students and let them come and gain new skills and tools for them. And it kind of lets you be who you are, or find out who you are and who you can be, and how you can be a part of the community and contribute to the community and help other students and be encouraging to other students and gain some confidence yourself if you kind of need that a little bit. There's people here that are very encouraging and want the kids to succeed and be able to give back to the community that they live in, or a community that they live in now or that they will live in. and help other students, because I think all the people that are around the students, they can all benefit from knowledge from each other. And I love seeing all of you guys from Walton High School. That's wonderful. Are you all part of the Key Club, or are you just a student body at Walton High School? And how did you find out about this webinar tonight? If you could just kind of let me know in the chat.
Sure.
I'd appreciate it.
And if you're a part of some other group on campus, like the band or sport or other clubs,
Anything.
we'd love to hear that. I went to a very small high school, and so I did everything. I was in sports, I was in band, I was on the yearbook staff, was in Key Club, as I mentioned, Letterman's Club, lots of things. Dr. England, oh, wonderful. Appreciate that. Thank you, Carter, for sharing that.
That is great. That you've got a relationship with your counselor. That's a good thing. That's a good starting point.
Yeah. So, well, I've got some things I want to get us started with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And there you go. You see, so instead of me being in a little box up in the upper right-hand corner, you can see me hopefully much more fully. And I like to do this feature when I do presentations. Those of you who are watching on the recording too, get ready and have your phone ready. And folks that are here live, have yours ready. I've got a QR code coming up that'll take you right to the registration. And we can talk through that registration a little bit here in this presentation. So first of all, again, the weekend is September 21st and 22nd. That's Saturday. We're going to start registration at 11 a.m. We're going to have lunch at noon, and then we're going to dive into the afternoon with some workshops, some chance for you to interact, and we're at a campground. We're going to be out in nature. You're going to have a chance to get out and spend a couple of hours. There's a small lake there. They have some pontoon boats, paddle boats, I should say. They also have a little mini golf. So there's other things you can do. So we're going to give you a chance to play with your hopefully newfound friends that you'll have at the retreat. So you're not going to be sitting in a room the whole time. We're going to have a bonfire Saturday night. So we're going to take advantage of being at a campground and give you a chance to get out and enjoy the fresh air in September. Okay, what is the Emerging Leaders Retreat? It is a program of Georgia Kiwanis. Kiwanis is a community service group. It's over 100 years old. It's been here in Georgia about 107, 108 years now, since about 1916, 1917. And we do, our main focus, our theme really is Kids Need Kiwanis. And we focus on working with youth, starting at birth through college age. So even working with college students. And we work to try to develop leaders, engage them in, students in community service, building up the community. So that's what this retreat is. It's going to be about building yourself up, your leadership skills and abilities, so that you can be a better leader in your high school, a better leader in your community. If you're in the band, if you're in a club, if you're in sports, whatever it may be, to be a better leader, and also give you some skills that you'll be able to take with you the rest of your life and help influence whatever communities you may eventually end up in. So it's for high school students only. Anybody who's in the 9th grade in the fall. So if there are students right now who are 8th graders and they're going to be rising freshmen in the fall, they're eligible. You may or may not be able to identify them this early, but that's something to think about. Is if you know some students, somebody that the middle school has told you, hey, this is someone who's really showing some real potential. You would want to probably help them develop their skills, or your counselor, maybe siblings of some of your other students that you have that you would want to encourage to get them started. I didn't really get started in my leadership journey until I was a junior in high school, and then had a really great senior year of leadership, but I really wish I'd gotten started a little earlier. And that's part of my motivation for being a part of this program. So as I just said, the students, how you decide who gets to go, the school that gets to decide, or the students get to decide. You can register. It's an open registration. It does not have to come from the school in particular. It could possibly be sponsored or supported by a local Kiwanis club or some other group. That's fine. But anybody can register. And when we get to that registration link, you'll be able to see how easy that is to do that. And The criteria is entirely up to a given school. So if Dr. England, and I noticed we had another counselor here, and I'm sorry, I'd have to scroll up to see your name again. I apologize for that. Let's see, you're somewhere. Kristen, if you or your school wants to do some sort of application process, you certainly can. We don't require that. We're going to let you choose who comes, or if you want to let students self-choose, that's fine too. We want to make sure that you're aware that they would be participating, and there will be definitely connection between you and the students with us so that everybody is on the same page. There are going to be certain release forms that will be sent to for medical information and also other releases, because we will have students who will be minors, and we do have chaperones. It's not anywhere here in the presentation, but Kiwanis International's policy is for every 10 students, we must have an adult chaperone who has been cleared through Kiwanis's youth protection and risk management program. So Kiwanis takes that very seriously, and will provide oversight to make sure that we have the people that we're supposed to have on site, assisting and facilitating and making sure everybody has a great time and is staying safe. So there is no criteria. You don't have to be in a club or organization or band or anything. You might just want to develop your leadership skills. That's cool too. The total cost is $125 per student. That's going to include lunch and dinner on Saturday and breakfast on Sunday. It's been a few years since I had food at that campground, but they do a pretty good job for a campground. They've got a wonderful, relatively new dining facility. It's probably about 6-7 years old now, but really an improvement over what they had before, which again, you won't have seen, but I can tell you the difference. Lodging, which we talked a little bit before we got formally started, but I know we've had some other people join since. Lodging will be in bunkhouses that will be set up by gender, based on the information you give us and on the policies of the FFA camp. So that is not determined by us, that's determined by the campground. So there'll be bunkhouses, so there'll be a number of bunks in there. The bunkhouses also have bathrooms with shower facilities. They do have hot running water, which is great. There are also counselor rooms, which I believe will be used by the chaperones. So again, there will be adults there to help make sure everybody stays safe and is having a good time. So you will need to bring a sleeping bag or linens, pillow, toiletries, whatever you might need. This is one of those times where make sure you're bringing shampoo, for example. You go to a hotel, they usually have shampoo and soap in the bathroom for you. They don't at this campground. You have to bring your own stuff. Towels will be important, so you want to make sure that you bring your own towels. It's going to be September, so you want to bring clothing that'll be comfortable. There is a lot of wooded area to go hiking in, so you might want to make sure you have some good shoes for that if that's something that you like to do. So be aware of that, but it's going to be a great time. Done a number of retreats there, and always enjoy the opportunity to use that campground. Here is the registration link and QR code. So I told you to get your phones ready. Those of you watching the recording, go ahead and you can grab this. It'll take you straight to the registration page. And I'm going to invite everybody to do that now. You can actually scroll through the registration page just like I'm going to do on my phone right now without having to enter any information. So when you first open up that form, it's going to say the Kiwanis Emerging Leaders Fall Registration Form. It's got that logo on top with the Kiwanis K, and it allows you to indicate if you're a student or an adult volunteer. These are going to be the chaperones, and then you give your information. Now, this can be filled out by a counselor. This could be filled out by a principal. This could, other people can fill this out, or you can have the students do it themselves. We don't yet have a paper version of this, but we are working on that, and that'll be sent out as a PDF to the Kiwanis clubs and also in Georgia, and also to the schools who received the email today about this webinar. You put your information in there, phone number, email. This is how we can keep in touch with you. The name of your school, what grade you're going to be in, your emergency contact. There will be a medical release form that will be sent to you. You can indicate things like allergies, medications that you're taking, things that might need to be known if for some reason medical professionals had to be called. This is something that we can pull out to keep those all in a binder that we can pull out and provide to medical professionals. It's not something that we use any other purpose, and when the weekend is done, typically shred those things. Emergency contact, again, dietary restrictions. How'd you hear about this? We know many of you heard from your wonderful counselor, Dr. England. And if you're already down to the bottom, you can click on next without having to put any information in, and you can see what's on the next page. And it asks about the information for any Kiwanians who are attending. So students here or counselors, this is information that really wouldn't apply to you. We do this because we have to make sure that the Kiwanians have been through the Youth Protection Risk Management certification, that they have had their background check done, that they are clear to be able to participate in an event like that. That's why we get all this information on the Kiwanis event. I'm a Kiwanis member. I have to submit this information too. And then if someone is submitting this information on behalf of students, then there's a section where we ask for that person so that we can be in contact with them. Or if there is a sponsor who is helping to support the students, you've got a secondary sponsor information there. We have some people who have offered to basically pay scholarships for students to attend. So we're doing this in order to know who to be in touch with, have as much contact information if we need it. The campground is not totally isolated, but it is in a very rural area between Covington and McDonough. So we want to make sure that we have all the ability possible to be in touch with whoever. Then at the bottom is the payment information. And then at the very bottom is where the credit card information would go in, or debit card, or whatever the person's using. Does anybody have any questions on the registry form? And you can just unmute, especially those of you who came in after we got started. You are allowed to unmute yourself, or you can post in the chat. No, Dave, you're awesome. You answered it great. Thank you. Okay. So, but if you have questions, I want to answer them, because that's what this is about, is getting these questions answered. If you're watching the recording and you had trouble getting to that, or didn't understand something there, you can email me, and my email information and Sharon's will be at the very end of this slideshow. So I encourage everybody to capture that information, students and everyone, so that you have contact info after tonight. Okay, what I'd like to do is to give you a little bit of some of what we're going to be doing during the retreat. So for the students, you can kind of get a sense as to what is happening. Why green eggs and ham? Well, one of the very first things that I did when I got involved in my Kiwanis club was I started reading to kindergartners. And I can remember I was waiting to go inside to read to the students, and I could see them through the window, and they were all moving around. Some of them were talking, they were poking each other, and I'm like, are they going to like me? They like my stories? How's this going to go? And from then from inside the room, I heard, and now, boys and girls, welcome Mr. Kelly. And I went in and I found all of the kindergartners, all the little people sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor in front of me. And I sat in the reader's chair, which is designed for a 5-year-old. And I looked at the kids and I said, hi, boys and girls. My name is Mr. Kelly, and I'm from the Kiwanis Club, and I'm here to read to you today. And I brought 3 books, all by Dr. Seuss. Does everybody like Dr. Seuss? If you've ever been around little kids like that, their hands all go up. And then they still kind of went down again. And then they slowly came back up again. And it looked like Dr. Seuss was going to be a good bet. One little girl off to the side, still had her hand up. And I looked at her and I said, yes, sweetie, do you have a question? And she said, I like Cat in the Hat. I hadn't brought Cat in the Hat that day, so I thought I might be in trouble. And then there was a little boy off to the side who still had his hand up. And I said, yes, do you have a question? And he said, we have 3 cats. And I looked over at the teacher for help, and she had her face buried in her hands in some sort of self-induced comas only teachers can do. And I knew I was in trouble. So I figured I better read my favorite book, the one I read to my girls as they were growing up, Green Eggs and Ham. So I started reading. I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam I am. That Sam I am. That Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. All of the kids were rapt attention. Just like all of you waiting for more pictures from the book, right? Well, I don't have any today, and maybe I'll have some at the campground. But the kids were excited and they're starting to get into it. And this guy, whose name we never learned, he is just not having it. He tells Sam that he will not eat the green eggs in a house, and he will not eat them with a mouse, and he will not eat them here or there, and he will not eat them. And then the kids shouted out, anywhere. And I was thinking, awesome, they've read the book. And then I read, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. And the kids shouted out, Sam, I am. And I'm thinking, this is so cool. Audience participation. And now I'm getting excited. And I'm reading about the box and the fox and the rain and the train and the boat and the goat and all those places that that guy says he won't eat green eggs and ham. And the kids are shouting anywhere. And Sam, I am. And they're getting louder and louder. So loud, in fact, that the first grade teacher from across the hallway came over and asked me if I could quiet the children down. And I looked at her and I said, are you kidding me? I'm on a roll here. Well, I finally get to that one page in the book, the one where the guy is holding the fork with the egg sort of hanging off of it. He's agreed to give it a try. There's no words on that page, but if there was one word, I think that word would be ugh. But then he eats the egg and he loves it. And he tells Sam that is so good, and he will eat the egg in all those places that he said he wouldn't. And he gets to the end of the book and he looks at Sam and he says, I do so love green eggs and ham. Thank you. Thank you. And the kid shouted out, Sam, I am. That's right. And I was hooked. And I've been reading to those kids now for more than 20 years. Well, not the same kids. They've grown up a little bit. Here is one of my all-time favorite pictures on the left there. That is my class that I read to. This is probably about 15, 16 years ago now. You see, I get paid in hugs, which I love. And I don't know why Danelle there in the yellow shirt is screaming, because poor little blonde-haired Amanda right under his chin is just getting crushed. And that's their teacher, Miss G. And I had the opportunity to work with her for a long time and read hers, and she loved being with the kindergartners. And right before the pandemic, she moved on to another school to take over reading for the entire elementary school. And we were going to work out something, but it didn't happen. It still hasn't happened since the pandemic, but she is a great person. In the fall of 2020, when we were in the midst of that pandemic, she had a post on her Facebook page that I saw that I contacted her about. I said, what is this about? And it was a picture of her and a young man sitting in front of the sign of Middle Georgia State University down in Cochran, which is really very southern Georgia. And I said, what's the story here? And she said, I think he's in that picture you like to show. If you look in the right-hand corner there, that big smile on the young man with the red shirt, his name is Lenward. And Lenward was a student in Miss G's class then 15, 16 years ago. And Miss G had driven him to Cochran to take him to school, to take him to college. And she told me more of the story. What she told me is that when Lenward was in her class, she found out that the family was homeless and that the mom did not have a job. Well, Miss G, as she said it, became a kind of adoptive fairy godmother for the family. And she helped mom get a job. She helped the family get an apartment. And then for birthdays, Easter, any celebration, she was there with gifts and candy and things. And you can see there on Lenward's first, I don't know if his first day of school, but his trip to go to move into school, she drove him down there. And she also set up a canteen account for him that people could put money in so that he could get snacks and other things while he was on campus. That to me is a servant leader. And the idea of serving others and leading through that service to me is so important. And that's going to be a strong theme for the retreat. And you know, there are lots of great serving leaders that have said wonderful things over time that I think that we can relate to. Dr. King, of course, he's from Atlanta. I live in Metro Atlanta, and yet the King Center has such a big presence here. And he's got a lot of famous quotes. And I don't know if everybody knows this quote, but I love this one, that anybody can be great because anybody can serve. So our greatness, our accomplishments, our achievements, however we define that, will be determined by our service. And then Mother Teresa, now known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, think what she's saying is, if you can't feed 100 people, feed just one, which means little things mean a lot. So she's saying that you don't have to always serve lots of people. It's great when you can. We can do things like build a house for Habitat for Humanity. It takes a lot of volunteers, but we can also do small things ourselves in order to impact and lift up other people. And then Gandhi, we never know if we're going to pass this way again. We're going to have opportunities in our lifetimes that are going to just pop up, and we're going to be called to serve. And in those moments, we need to be able to react and to serve in order to be able to provide for the people who need that. And maybe they'll never get a chance to thank us. We may never see them again, but we can always hope that they will then serve someone else. It's called paying it forward. And these are not new ideas. They go back thousands of years. That the idea is we're not here to be served, to serve other people. And that is how we can have a true impact in this world as emerging leaders. And I think emerging leadership is serving leadership. It's a connected idea. And so that's what we're going to really work on that weekend, is encouraging you as students that are there, that this idea of serving leadership is how you can really grow and develop your leadership skills. And that's really how I did it as a student and through other leadership experiences that I had. Here's my bold statement on this. And this is why we talk about that this program is for everybody, because I don't believe the ability to win an election necessarily makes you a leader. We can probably see and know lots of examples of people who they can get elected, but they really aren't leaders. And what I'm wanting to encourage is, let's become leaders first. And whatever you do with that, that's up to you. Whatever you choose to do with that. But let's become leaders first and have that leadership, that servant's heart is really the message that I want to share. There's going to be 4 areas that I'm going to talk about that weekend and cover. We're going to talk about dignity of the individual, how we interact with each other, how we treat one another, sacrifice and integrity. What are we willing to do when no one is looking? What are we willing to do in those moments, like Gandhi said, where we come across a situation and we have a chance to serve? Recognition. Who are we and where are we going? And lastly, responsible stewardship. What are we going to do with what we have? And that's going to be near the end of the presentation on Sunday morning. What are you going to go back and do in your school, in your community, for the people who sent you, or for the things that you want to accomplish? We're going to be talking, one of the areas of dignity of the individual is the idea of putting others above ourselves. Now, this doesn't mean we become doormats. That's not what I'm talking about, but that we lift up other people. This image is from a commercial from a few years ago. It's a guys playing wheelchair basketball. So they're playing 3-on-3, and they're playing pretty hard. They're banging on each other. One of the guys even gets knocked out of his chair during the commercial. And then the camera, the ball goes in. This is the game-winning shot in the commercial. And so we see the ball go in, and then the camera comes in close and tight on that player right in the lower left, in the black t-shirt, and it shows his face, and it's tight on him. You can only see him, and he says, "Hey, you guys are getting pretty good at this." And then they turn the camera around, and all the other guys are getting up out of the wheelchairs. The guy in the black t-shirt can't. So his friend said, "We want to play ball with you. We're going to learn how to play your way." It's putting others above ourselves. That's lifting up other people. And we can help people with their dreams and their needs and their desires when we do that. And in so doing, we truly become that servant leader. It's just it's a distinction. When I think about leadership and I think about how we conduct ourselves in life, it's either about service or it's about serving us. And I like to be about service. And I also like to say, if you're asking what's in it for me, anything, I think you're asking the wrong question. And especially this weekend, what's in it for you? It's going to be fun. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to grow. But you're also going to develop that heart, hopefully, of serving leader this weekend in September. Last little piece that I'm going to share with you. And if you come, you're going to see some of this material again, but I got a little bit more to expand on with it. There's quite a few other things under dignity of the individual and sacrifice and integrity. But we can build up other people and communities through the things that we do. And when I think about this, I think about my daughter, Katie. who just graduated from college about a year and a half ago. But when she was in fifth grade, and you know, fifth grade in Georgia, that is like seniors of the elementary school, she was the coolest kid in school. And that's not just dad saying it, but it was true. Because every summer I go to a leadership conference in New York City, and my wife and my daughter would come along with me, and they would go shopping and get all the cool new fashions that hadn't made it to Atlanta yet. And so when she came back to school, she was decked out on the first day of school. And so was her best friend, Allegria. And all the girls in class wanted to be their friend. So in the classroom, they pushed their desks together so that they were touching Allegria's and Katie's desks. They played together during recess. They ate together at lunch. And on Wednesdays, they wore pink. Mean Girls reference. If you know, you know. But there was another girl.
Yes.
Yes. There we go. There was another girl in their class, Rachel, who wasn't, I guess, one of the cool kids, or however you want to think about that. Somebody just posted, yes, Mean Girls. There you go. And Rachel at that time was having some issues with her weight, and she was getting bullied and body shamed by some of the other kids in class. And Katie and Allegria and Rachel had all grown up through school, through church activities over the years together. And when Katie and Allegria saw this, they didn't like it, and they decided to do something about it. So they went to the teacher and the principal and the counselor, and they all said that they would take care of some adults did. But then Katie and Allegria decided they were going to do something about it too. So they went to their little group of plastics and said to them, Rachel's going to be our friend. She's going to sit with us in class. She's going to play with us at recess. She's going to eat with us at lunch. If you don't like that, you're not our friend anymore. Wow. I always get chill bumps when I tell that story. Yes, Carter, absolutely. Here's the email that Rachel's mom sent to my wife and to Allegria's mom. And I just recently saw a post on Facebook. Rachel just graduated from college. And, you know, over the years, I remember seeing her around church, and she got a sense of fashion that was really her own. She worked as a lifeguard all through high school. So I say that some of those maybe body issues or that body shaming didn't have a long-term effect on her. And when she went off to college, she drove off in a car that she paid, brand new car that she paid for herself. And now she's graduating. Did Katie and Allegria have a part in that? Sure. They maybe gave that little nudge. Maybe they gave that little bit of help, showed that somebody else cared about someone, and it really helped them to take control, to take the lead in order to be able to do the things that they most want to be able to do. You students that are here, those of you, the Kiwanis members, the counselors that are here, this can happen with the students who come and participate in the retreat in September. And the last thing I want to say about this nudge idea, I'm sorry, before we get to that, really what we're going to be talking about is also making a positive change, being a force for positive change as a visionary leader. That's kind of a secondary theme here, and doing positive things to help bring about change in the world. I mentioned that when I was in high school that I was in Key Club, and I do want to say this: you don't have to be in Key Club to come to this retreat. If you are in Key Club, that's great. We'd love to have you, but you don't have to. So if you're thinking, well, I'm not a member of my, don't worry about that. You don't have to be. That's not what this for. They do their own things, although many Key Clubbers are good. But I was in it, and near the end of my junior year, our club president came to a meeting, and he told us about a convention going on up in Green Bay. I grew up in Wisconsin, a small town. Green Bay at that time had 80,000 people. I lived in a village of 4,000 people. And to me, Green Bay was a big city. And so I wanted to go spend a weekend in the big city and go to this convention. I had some money saved up. I'd worked on a farm the summer before. I'd saved it up to take this girl to prom. But when I asked her, she turned me down. She's waiting for some other guy to ask her. And he never did. And so she had to stay home, and I got to go to Green Bay. Well, when I got there, I was blown away. There were over 600 high school students there, only 400 in my whole school. And they were all running for these offices. They had signs up all over the hotel, vote for me for governor, or not me, but Bill for governor and Steve for this and that. It's very overwhelming. And that first night, they put us into a meeting room where we were going to get to see these candidates come in, and they were going to talk to us about their campaign. And there were two groups in there. This is an exact replica of the state of Wisconsin. If you ever need to know, it looks like this. Here is Green Bay. Down here is Milwaukee. I was from right in the between. And so there were about 7 or 8 high schools from our area that were at this conference. We were on one side of the room. Then there was a group of about 10 high schools from way up north. Wisconsin is cold down here. It's super cold up here. And they were from up here, and they were over on the other side. And so these people come in and they had coats and ties, and they had literature, and they had campaign teams. And they would tell us what they would do if we would vote for them. And then they would we'd ask questions, and they'd answer them, and then they'd leave. After they'd leave, there was a guy who would get up in front of the other side of the room and tell that side of the room what he would do if they would elect him to be their representative. The position is called lieutenant governor. Okay, I know those of you who aren't in Kiwanis or don't not a part of that band. I mean, but it's like a regional representative. But there was nobody on our side of the room, and the guy running the meeting was just begging for somebody to run. And this kept going on. And after a while, my advisor nudged me and he said, "Hey, why don't you do it?" And I said, "Me? How can I do that? I don't even know what that lieutenant governor position is. What is that thing? How can I be on the state board? I've never been an officer in our club." But I thought about it and I realized I'll raise my hand and I'll say, "I'll do it." They'll say, "See, I'm not any good and don't know anything." And somebody better will get elected. So I raised my hand and I said, "I'll do it." And I learned a lesson about volunteering that night. You tend to get what you volunteer for. Well, they elected me. They didn't really have any choice. And I went home and I just read all the books and manuals that they gave me and did everything that they said to do. And at the end of that year, we had 14 of those positions in our district. That's the term we use. Like Georgia is a district in Kiwanis. We had Wisconsin and Upper Michigan was our district. Pardon me. We had 14 lieutenant governor positions, and 2 were named as outstanding. I was one of them. And then they picked me to be the nominee for the international award. And that summer in Washington, D.C., in front of 3,000 people out of over 700 students, lieutenant governors in the whole organization, only 14 were named as outstanding. And I was one. It's all because I raised my hand and I said, "I'll do it." That's what we're asking the students to do. Is say you'll do it. Come to this weekend. I tell you, that moment in that meeting room in Green Bay when I raised my hand was the pivotal moment in my life. It changed my life. I don't know what direction my life was going, but it changed. And it's been about leadership and service ever since. And so you may not have your pivotal moment at the retreat. That's okay. But we're hoping that we're going to give you some tools that'll help you as you go along. Now, I'm going to open it up for any questions you might have, and then I'm going to ask Sharon to share a little bit of her perspective also. But I also mentioned earlier that I was going to put our contact information up here. So if you have your camera still handy, you want to take that picture of that, you can reach out to us, Kiwanians, reach out to Sharon. She's the district chair for emerging leaders. And if you're with the school, if you're a student, if you're a counselor, principal, reach out to me and I can answer your questions, particularly about the content of the program, some of the logistics, anything I can't answer, I'll get with Sharon or our other district leadership here in Georgia. We're going to be putting together a very safe environment. I have done these types of retreats as a professional speaker for over 20 years. I have done retreats at this facility. I know it very well. So we're going to put together an event that the students are going to enjoy, get a lot out of, and hopefully come back and bring some great things back to your school. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. And if you have any questions, I'll pause here and give you a chance to do that. And then Sharon, I'll ask you to step in a minute to share some of the perspective that I know that you have on this. So again, you can unmute to ask your questions, or you can post them in the chat. So, and this is Kiwanians, students, counselors, whoever's in the room, you are welcome to ask a question. Well, I must have explained it really well, which is cool. is like, if you have questions as we continue here, and we are going to honor your time and be finished by 8. If you have questions, oh, thank you, Carter. I appreciate that. And I look forward to, I'll sit with you at lunch or something while we're at the retreat, and I'll feel like I got in with the plastics, or maybe I'm the plastic. Anyway, Delilah, go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry. What was the criteria for receiving the email? Honestly, it was what I could get off the Georgia Department of Education's website. For every school that in the state of Georgia, they do have the name of the principal, which isn't always the right name, and an email address. And so about 500 schools got the email with the link in it. So I'm going to be sending out a copy or a link to the recording of this after this session, again to that same list, but also to all of you who are here, because Zoom does capture your email addresses when you, I believe. Oh no, we didn't do registration. So tell you what, I'll put the link up when I ask Sharon to speak here in just a moment, so that way you can have that link to the actual registration. But Delilah, that's exactly how it went out. And then there were some sent out to Kiwanis clubs and Kiwanis leadership. So if you're one of those, that's how you got that email. So it was about 70% of the schools in Georgia had a good email address for it. So, but great. Hey, thank you for that question. Any other questions about the retreat, the weekend, the registration? What should you bring? Can you bring snacks? Sure. We're also going to provide some, but if you've got some special dietary needs and you need to bring something, that's great. We are asking for that information on the registration. We're going to do everything we can to accommodate that. We are at a campground, and so sometimes that it can be a challenge, but they really do work very hard, and they work with students all the time. This is the Future Farmers of America, the FFA, and then the FCCLA campground. So they work with students all the time. They're used to that, and they do a lot of youth events and camps over the summertime. So they're used to working with dietary needs. So I think we can accommodate it, but you may want to think about making sure you bring something. And if you're just one of those where people who like, you get hungry at midnight, bring a snack. You know, it's going to be okay, but we should have a good amount of water and snacks and other things on hand. So great. Appreciate it, Emily and Carter. Any questions? One more call, but again, you can ask a question at any time. I'm going to turn over to Sharon. We've been working together on this now since last fall, and we've talked a little bit about some of the things she's seen. And so I'm going to turn over her and ask her to share a little bit about her perspective on what this retreat should be and what we plan for it.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. I do have a little bit different perspective of it. I was not in Key Club in high school. I wasn't in any clubs or anything in high school, but I was encouraged I was asked, first of all, to join Kiwanis. That was the first step. Second step was when it came time for being on the board of directors. I was asked if I would be on the board of directors. Then I went into being an officer. I was president of the Rockdale Kiwanis Club, and I was also president of the Conyers Kiwanis Club, and also secretary for the Kiwanis Club. And most of it was just because I was asked if I would do that, but then it was an encouragement from other members, because I didn't have a clue either. I did not know what the responsibilities were, but I found out what they were, I learned what they were, and I was glad to do it. And then when came time for lieutenant governor a few years ago, I volunteered. I raised my hand because nobody else was raising their hand, and there needed to be somebody. And it's like, okay, I can do this. I will do this. I was encouraged all the way along the way. And that's what part of this does, is it helps you to understand what your capabilities are, gives you the encouragement that you need. It builds your confidence, which I think is important. And then you can help. And like Dave was explaining about his daughter and including the girl in, making her feel good about herself. I wasn't sure, I wasn't that confident that I could do what needed to be done, but I got it done, and I had people that have helped me all along the way. And that kind of leads into something that I talked to Dave about when we were putting all of this together. There was a young man that I work at a feed and seed store locally in Covington called Patrick's. And there was a young man that worked there, and he didn't have a whole lot of confidence in himself. He was very shy. He had never had a job before. He didn't really know what to do. But because of the owners of that store and the people that were there, he gained that confidence. He enjoyed coming to work. And it was all because one person, in this case, two people, cared enough to help him and be there for him. And he is graduating this year, probably here in the next week or 10 days. And I had the opportunity to meet with him and to work with him. And it was a pleasure to be around him and to see him grow just because somebody cared enough. And another one that's a little bit closer to me deals with my son. He struggled in school. We had different things that we went through, and I really didn't think he was going to make it out of high school. I really didn't know that he was going to be able to finish. But when he got to high school, after everything that we had done, it was different. But he had a counselor. That one counselor took him under her wing. She was there for him. She understood what he needed. And all she did was encourage him. She didn't do things for him. She was there if he needed her. She encouraged him to the point that he graduated from high school with a dual diploma. It was college prep and technical. He wound up going to ABAC. He graduated from ABAC. And then he transferred to UGA. And he graduated from UGA with a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in horticulture. He is now the manager of he is a branch manager for 2 offices of a major landscape company. And it's all because one person cared enough to say, you can do this. And that's what the basis of this program is for you to have the tools that you need to build the confidence in yourself so that you can be an encouragement to someone else. We're here to be your encouragement. Yes, you can. It's kind of like the little train that could. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And it goes from I think I can to I know I can. And being there for the other students, and you all work together, and we continue to be an influence and an encouragement to one child at a time, one community at a time, and become a part of the Kiwanis family. I have had things that have happened in my lifetime that my Kiwanis family stood beside me and continued to encourage me. And I'm trying to pay it forward and be a part of this program because I think it's very important that we continue to support the kids. I'm involved in Conyers, and we have a reading program, and it's called Read to Lead. We give them the basics. Every child in the elementary schools, there's 11 elementary schools in Conyers. We hand out a book to every child in every elementary school in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. We have a key club in the Career Academy in Conyers, and we're building that and getting them involved in all of the programs that we do, and they seem to be extremely excited. In Social Circle, they have a work program and scholarships, in the high school, and they're working there, and jobs, and because not every student is geared for college necessarily. Some of them are technical, some of them go directly into the workforce. And we're working to support that and give them what they need. And there's criteria for that, and they fill out applications. But it's all part of giving back. And the years that I have been in Kiwanis now, since 1996, I have learned that, and I have grown with that. And that's why I feel so strongly about this program, that I know there are kids out there that don't think they can. They don't have the confidence in themselves. They don't think they can be a part of anything. And we need to let them know, yes, you can. You can be a part. You can be an important part, and you are important to us. And we need you. Kiwanis needs you. Your community needs you. Your schools need you. And we want you to join with us and be a part. And I hope that you come. I'm reading your chat, and I am glad to see that you're excited about this, because we are excited. And Emily, I understand about Mean Girls. I've been called a mean girl, and it's a joke with the president of the Clowners Club. And we have this running joke about me being a mean girl, but we love each other and we work together very well. And it's a lot of fun, and it makes me smile. So come join us. I'll be there on Saturday. I hope to see you there.
Thank you, Sharon, so much. And here's the thing: is the question I've also gotten from some students is, hey, after the retreat, what do I do next? It's up to you. The sky's the limit. You may be inspired at this retreat to start some sort of a new club or organization. You may decide to move into a leadership role in a club or organization you're already in. Maybe if you're in sports, you'll be inspired to want to be a captain. Because of my leadership experiences, I became a captain of the cross country team my senior year. I was in the band. Like I said, I was in a small high school, so you had to do everything. And I played trumpet and French horn, and I was the first chair, which is like the leader of the French horn section, my senior year. A lot of it was because of the confidence that I got from leadership roles. So what you choose to do with this is up to you. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to do anything else more, but we hope you'll go back and be a positive influence in your school and in your community. And then wherever you go in the world, then we hope that we have helped equip you to be a positive influence wherever that may be. So I thank the Wisconsin Kiwanians who influenced me. People here in Georgia, you're benefiting from it. I know we've sent some students up that way too. So as we're nearing the end of our time, to make sure that you get information, feel free to private message me your email address if you want to. Now, students, if you're not sure about that, don't do it. We'll make sure that the information continues to go to your principal or to your counselor or whatever. You don't have to do that. The emails are going to continue to go out later this week. I will send an email out to everybody who received my email today with this recording. So just make sure Dr. England, for those of you from Walton, that Dr. England gets you that information. But I will be happy to keep you apprised as to what's going on. That also means you don't have to register yet, but at some point you're going to want to make sure that you reserve your spot. So I don't want to put any pressure on anybody to register tonight. If you want to, it's open. You are welcome to do it. And that will help us. But I'll also make sure that you continue to get information as we go along so that you can be up to date with everything. We know where it's going to be. We know when it's going to be. I know most of what the program is already going to be. So I'm doing some little tweaks here over the summer. So we're really excited about it. And we want to make sure that you maintain that excitement and perhaps encourage other people to come join you. With a couple of minutes we have left, anybody have any questions, any final thoughts? I appreciate a couple of you who have sent your emails. So I'll grab those before I sign myself out of the meeting and just make sure that you keep up to date. And again, any other questions, this is your chance to feel free to ask. If you got into the meeting after we started, and there's something you're like, wait a minute, did you talk about this thing before I got here? Feel free to ask it. I don't mind repeating myself. You are going to get a copy of this recording from pretty much when people start coming in, because I started getting asked questions right away. So probably pretty much it'll be all that information. So give you another 60 seconds. Or if you have last thoughts that you want to post into the chat, feel free to do that. And happy to receive those. If you have questions, thoughts, ideas, Sharon, if you have any last words, give you a chance to say that. I appreciate that. Appreciate those of you who are private messaging me those email addresses. I'm going to capture those.
No, I think I'm just excited about all of this. I love the response. I'm glad that you took time out of your evening, and I hope y'all have a wonderful summer. Do not forget about us. We're going to be around, and I look forward to seeing you, and ask one person to come with you to the retreat, and we'll see you in September.
Well, and students, any of you who are here, if your counselor or your principal or whoever invited you to be here tonight has questions about, okay, well, what did they talk about? Invite them. I will be happy to jump on a call, a Zoom, whatever we need to do to give them answer any questions they might have. We are an open book here, and we want everybody to feel comfortable. This is going to be a safe space, and everybody's going to have a great time. So with that, thank you. Go enjoy the rest of your evening, students, and educators. Enjoy your summer, and we'll look forward to seeing you in September. We're going to be in touch before then. Thank you all very much.